So, in talking about aligning with our spirit, I know there's people that come from all different walks of life and all different beliefs, from religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, agnostic beliefs, atheist beliefs. So many different people have participated in my programs from dozens of countries around the world, and I've been able to interact with people from all these different ideas and concepts and beliefs. And my goal was to create something that would help people, no matter if they live in the wealthiest part of the world, or if they live in the slums of Nairobi, where I had the opportunity to help build a school. I believe that natural law and true principles apply to all of us. And when we can align our lives with those, we experience more well-being. And I just want to take a minute and just kind of share my story of where I come from. And I don't make a claim to know everything. There's certain things I've experienced that have been extraordinarily valuable to me. And I just wanted to share those with you, not in a place of trying to draw you to my side, but to say, experiment for yourself on this. As a teenager, I was really troubled, and I was rebellious, and I just was getting into all kinds of trouble with the police, and I was getting into fights, and just horrible relationships with people. And I had some cousins they were basically full-time thieves, and they took me under their wing, and they initiated me into they had kind of a little gang that they had. And I had to go and one night break this window on this car and steal this radar detector so that I could be part of this band of thieves. And most of these guys went to jail, and one of them got shot up by the police and had to have his leg amputated. And it was just a bad crowd. And in that space of confusion and anger and frustration and just fighting against life and fighting against natural laws, I was abusing my body with substance abuse, and I was getting in fights. This is just very chaotic. I was so out of alignment with these laws that I'm teaching you. I didn't have any joy. I didn't have any peace. I didn't have any life in me. And I thought about taking my own life, and really contemplated that as a solution to all the pain that I was in. And in this space, this very special person, this young lady that I had feelings for and was dating, she shared this experience with me where her parents got divorced and her dad had left, and she was devastated. And then her dog died. It was this her companion in life, and she was in this place of isolation and being alone. And she shared this story with me where, in that place of desperation, she prayed one day, and she basically said, "God, if you love me, I need to know this." And she had this warmth come over her, and this incredible experience that transformed her life. And I don't know what it was, but in that place where I had all these walls up, and I was so angry at the world and angry at everyone, and no one could get in because my walls were so high, for whatever reason, I let that in. And I was so miserable. Like, the substances weren't bringing me happiness, and acting out in all these different ways wasn't bringing me happiness, and the stuff wasn't bringing me happiness. And this one day I thought, what do I have to lose? And I locked my door of my room because I didn't want anyone to know that I was doing this. It would ruin my reputation. And I got down on my knees, and in this place of genuine humility, I said, "God, if you exist, let me know this." And I had this wave of peace come over me, this incredible experience of love and of connection. And it was so overwhelming. I didn't even know what to do with it. I didn't think I was worthy of that kind of stuff. The story I had about myself was I was a bad person. Even when I was being good, I was a bad person pretending to be good. And I didn't deserve that kind of thing if it even existed. And it was this life-changing experience where, from that space, this light that I experienced, I wanted more of it. And I started to create a life that involved more of that. And the substances no longer made me feel good. That feeling of warmth was better than that feeling I had of being buzzed or being like out of my head, and the hurting other people to get gain didn't feel good anymore. And I went through this space where I felt I just had these impressions that I started to get. And I remember when I was in high school, I would walk along and I would get these impressions of, like one day I had this impression to go and talk to this person. And I didn't know him, and it was awkward, and it was uncomfortable, but I kept getting this impression, go say hi to that person. Go say hi to that person. And so I just went, hey, how you doing? It was really awkward. And I welcomed into whatever the event was. I don't even remember the details. And a friend came to me later and told me that that person had said that they had decided to kill themselves that day. And my welcoming them into this group was the turning point of changing that. And I've had these experiences over and over and over of being guided by this impression to do things. And then I went through this period of time where intellectually I talked myself out of believing. And I questioned everything, which I'm not opposed to. But I questioned everything all the way to the point of even questioning all these experiences and all the impressions and all the synchronicities and all the magical things that happen, and got to this place where I didn't believe in anything. I just thought, no, we're just on this rock floating through outer space, and when we die, that's it. Like, this is it. There is nothing else. It's just this random occurrence and this accident. And I stayed with that story for a while, and it was dismal. It was miserable. It's just like I looked around life, and it was this miserable story. And one day I thought, you know what? Why have a story that makes me feel miserable? And I just said, I'm just going to make up the story that I believe in a higher power, something outside of me. And something happened when I shifted into that. Because during the time that I lost any belief in things, I didn't get the experiences that I used to get. And I was like, my story was confirmed in me that there was no connection when that's what I really believed. And I started to experiment and say, why not have a story that there's a higher power, that there's a purpose to this life, that there's something bigger than me. And I started to experiment with that again and just choose that story, because I can choose any story I want. And I like that story better. It felt more hopeful. Some people say religion is the crutch of the masses, the opiate of the masses. It's a crutch. And I just went, well, I kind of like that crutch. It makes me feel better. So I was in a space of choosing to believe. And then I started to have synchronicities again. Perfectly timed events started to come together, and situations started to come together. And I started seeing this pattern in my life again, as I believed in that there was something bigger than me. And then this went on for a couple of years, and at the time I'm filming this, it was maybe 2-3 months ago. I went and spent some time alone in the mountains. I climbed up really high up into these mountain peaks in my state, and I was alone by this lake, just meditating and listening, and I got this answer that was so intense, this rush of an experience that came over me, that it was time to take this content that 2.5 years ago came to me one day in a morning writing experience. And then I was told not to publish it. I was told to put it down in my morning writing. And I went, okay. And I was up in the mountains and I got this answer. It said, it's time. It's time to share this message. So I invite you to do this. Everything I teach, it's all about practical application. I want these tools to work for you regardless of your religious beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, your background, whether you have them or not. These natural law principles work either way. And I believe from these experiences I have that we each have a purpose. And that as we get still, and there was this quote by Rumi, and I'll paraphrase it. It basically says you have to connect with the divine, you have to throw away all your cleverness and exchange it for bewilderment. That's what I did as a teenager. I was in a place of that bewilderment, and I threw away my cleverness, and I had this connection. And then when I went through this losing of my beliefs, I got back to that place of humility and that place of bewilderment and just said, show me. And I got that experience again. So I invite you to take all the cleverness of your mind and cast it aside and ask to be shown what it is that you need to do in your life. And then watch for the synchronicities and follow these laws. Align yourself, body, mind, spirit, and stress management. Align yourself with a story that serves you. Align yourself with the laws of food and the laws of sex, and listen. Take the time for stillness. And I believe in my heart that you will get the answer for what your purpose on this planet is. And when you get that, and you align yourself with this, you have the power to create it. I invite you to seek these things. They may not come today, they may not come tomorrow, but seek for them. And I believe that they'll come for you as well. So I ask you, what's possible in your life if you can tap into the inner genius? What would be possible if you could get answers to whatever question that you have because there's wisdom in you? If this is something you want to take on in your life, I've created a little cheat guide that helps you to align your life with the 7 irrefutable laws of power. All you got to do is click on the button on this page and you can get access to that and start living today these 7 laws of power and accessing your own inner genius.